A duck waddles into a feed store and approaches the counter. "Got any duck feed?" asks the duck, looking up expectantly. The clerk replies, "No, we don't have a market for it, so we don't carry it." The duck nods, says, "Okay," and waddles out of the store. The next day, the same duck walks into the feed store again. The clerk, surprised to see him back, watches as the duck makes his way to the counter. "Got any duck feed?" asks the duck again. A little annoyed, the clerk shakes his head, "No, we don't have duck feed. I told you yesterday, there's just no demand for it here." The duck nods once more, says, "Okay," and leaves the store. On the third day, the duck walks in yet again. The clerk raises an eyebrow, curious about the duck's persistence. "Got any duck feed?" asks the duck, looking as hopeful as ever. This time, the clerk's patience wears thin. He leans over the counter, exasperated, and yells, "I've told you twice now, we don't have duck feed. We've never had duck feed, and we never will have duck feed. If you ask me again, I'll nail your feet to the floor." The duck blinks, taken aback by the outburst. Without another word, he turns and leaves the store. The following day, the duck returns, undeterred by the previous day's encounter. He waddles confidently up to the counter. "Got any nails?" asks the duck. The clerk, puzzled, replies, "No, we don't have any nails." The duck then asks, "Got any duck feed?" Two old friends are sitting on a bench in the park, enjoying the sunshine and the gentle breeze. As they reminisce about their younger days, the conversation naturally shifts to the topic of getting older. "You know," says the first man, leaning back and stretching his legs, "women sure have all the luck when it comes to getting older." His friend raises an eyebrow, curious. "What do you mean by that?" he asks, turning to face him. "Well," says the man with a sigh, "I can't remember the last time I was able to make love to my wife. My health's been going downhill, and it just doesn't seem possible anymore. But my wife, on the other hand, she's healthier than ever." "Healthier? How's that even possible?" his buddy wonders aloud, genuinely puzzled. "Well," the man explains. "She hasn't had a headache in years." On a stormy night, a gypsy man's truck broke down on a country road. He found a farmhouse and knocked on the door. The farmer answered the door and the gypsy told him, "Sir, my truck broke down on the road. I was wondering if it would be all right if I slept in your barn tonight. If there's any work you need done, I will do it." The farmer said, "There's no need for that. I have plenty of room in my home. You can sleep in my spare bedroom tonight." The gypsy came into the house. The farmer made him dinner, and they had some drinks. The next morning, the gypsy thanked the farmer. Again he told the farmer, if there was any work that the farmer needed, that he would do it. The farmer told him he didn't need any work done. The gypsy said, "You know I'm a gypsy, I have the power to talk to animals. Let me talk to your animals, and I will tell you what they are thinking." The farmer was skeptical, but he agreed to let the gypsy talk to his animals. A while later, the gypsy returned to the house. He told the farmer, "I talked to some of your animals. Do you want to know what they told me?" The farmer said, "Sure, what did they tell you?" The gypsy said, "Well, I talked to your horses. They said that you recently changed the bits that you use. The bit you use now really hurts their mouths." The farmer said, "Wow, that's right, I did change their bits. I'll change them back." The gypsy said, "I talked to the cows. They said that you increased the pressure on the milking machines. It's really uncomfortable for them now." The farmer said, "Well, I did change the pressure. I'll change it back." The gypsy said, "I also talked to the sheep." The farmer got upset. He shouted, "Those sheep are damn liars. You can't believe a word they say." A man gets in an argument with his wife during dinner. After the meal, the husband furiously runs down to their wine cellar and opens a bottle of vintage wine. Magically, a genie comes out of the bottle and says, "You have freed me. You now have 3 wishes. But you should know, whatever you wish for, your wife will get double." The man says, "I understand. My first wish will be a large beach house. The genie snapped his fingers and said, your new beach house is waiting for you. But your wife now has 2 beach houses right next to yours. That's fine, the man said. How about a nice sports car? The genie snapped his fingers and said, your brand new sports car is in your garage. But your wife now has 2 sports cars. You have one more wish. The man thought and thought about what his last wish should be. After a few hours of thinking, he stood up and told the genie, I wish you would beat me half to death. 2 men are walking down a swampy road looking for a ride. They hadn't seen a car in over an hour and start making up dares to pass the time. Dude 1, hey, you see those little frogs jumping around? Bet you $5 you wouldn't eat one of those. Dude 2, being a macho sort of guy who can't turn down a dare, grabs a little frog, pops it in his mouth and gulps it down. Dude 1 reaches into his pocket and gives Dude 2 $5. They continue walking for a while. Dude 2, hey, you know what? I bet you $5 you won't eat a frog. Dude 1, not to be outdone, grabs a frog and eats it whole. Dude 2 gives Dude 1 back his original $5. They continue walking down the road for another 20 minutes when Dude 2 turns to Dude 1 and says, hold on. Why did we eat them frogs? A guy is walking down the street and suddenly notices that his watch has stopped working. As he stands there musing over this discovery, he notices that the display window of a nearby shop has several dozen watches and clocks in it. The man steps inside the door of the shop and asks the proprietor, excuse me, my watch has stopped working. I wonder if you can repair it for me? The proprietor looks up from his desk and says, what are you talking about? I'm not a watchmaker, I'm a mohel. I perform circumcisions. Confused, the gentleman asks, well then why do you have so many watches and clocks in your window? The mohel calmly replies, what would you prefer that I display? A man was in New York on a business trip and decided to head to a bar for a drink. Standing outside the bar was a nun holding a tin cup. As the man threw a few bucks into her cup, the nun launched into a long tirade about the evils of alcohol. She went on and on about how alcohol was tearing apart the fabric of society, and how it was the root of all the city's problems. Slightly annoyed at having to listen to the nun, the man told her, listen, sister, I work hard for my money and sometimes at the end of a long day I like a drink or 2. That doesn't make me a bad person. I have a wife I idolize and 2 wonderful kids at home. I provide for my family, I volunteer my time to several local service clubs and I contribute regularly to various charities. Yet you stand here and condemn me just because I drink the occasional glass of scotch. The nun was slightly taken aback and replied, I see your point, my son, and I apologize if I offended you, but alcohol is such a powerful demon that all who consume it are doomed. Look, there you go again, said the man, how can you make such a sweeping statement? Have you ever even tried alcohol? Of course not, gasped the nun, the evil alcohol has never touched my lips. Do you really think that 1 glass of booze can change you from a devout nun to some kind of evil degenerate? Well, I really don't know. I'll tell you what, come into the bar with me and I'll buy you a drink. 1 drink. I'll prove to you that evil is not inside the glass, it's inside the person. Oh, I could never be seen going into such a den of iniquity, it's out of the question. However, your comment about evil residing in the person rather than the glass is quite intriguing. I must admit you've aroused a curiosity in me. Well, let's go inside and settle this. No, my son, I could never enter such a place, but how about this? Take my tin cup with you and fill it with this scotch you mentioned. Bring it out to me and I'll try it. You're on, said the guy. The nun removed all the change and handed him the tin cup. He went into the bar and said to the bartender, 2 scotch on the rocks, and could you put one of them in this tin cup please? The bartender sighed and said, is that darn nun out there again? A kindergarten class had a homework assignment to find out something exciting and relate it to the class the next day. When the time came to present what they'd found, the first little boy the teacher called on walked up to the front of the class, and with a piece of chalk, made a small white dot on the blackboard and sat back down. Puzzled, the teacher asked him what it was. It's a period, he replied. I can see that, said the teacher, but what is so exciting about a period? Darned, if I know, chirped the little boy, but this morning my sister was missing one, my mother fainted, my dad had a heart attack, and the boy next door joined the Navy. Hey, there, I put a lot effort into making these videos, so please subscribe for more jokes and stay happy, thank you.